So good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of The Bandwidth. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today's topic is how to get your groove back. But before we dive in, we want to talk about a little bit of our housekeeping items. So please engage with us, ask us questions in the chat. We will definitely get to it during the discussion and also after the conversation. If you're not subscribed to our channel, we ask that you subscribe. Click that thumbs up button and hit the notification bell. We want you to comment your biggest takeaway and why you continue to follow this channel. If you know of one person that could benefit from this conversation, we ask that you share the link with them. If you're not following us on Facebook, please do. It's at Rosie Faulkner and IG at Faulkner_Rosie. And if you are ready to go live, sign up to get my 3 must-have tools. The link will be in the description. I want to thank the team for taking their time to put this episode together. We couldn't have this show if it wasn't for them. So let's do this. Again, the title of this show is How to Get Your Groove Back. Our guest is Natasha Williams. She's a mom, a wife, in full-time ministry. Welcome, Natasha, to The Bandwidth.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
So
Thank you for having me.
Not a problem. I gave a brief description of your background. So please elaborate and tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Well, who I am an energetic, fun-loving person. I'm a child of God. So all of those things are who I am at my core. But my role is something completely different. And I like to separate those two things because who you are is not contingent on your role. Like, so if any of those roles ever change, you're still who you are. So that's why I led off with that. But I am a mother of 2 boys, 13 years old and 7-year-old. And I am a wife of my husband. We've been married for 17 years. And I am a full-time engineer, received my bachelor's degree in industrial engineering and my master's in quality engineering. So I'm currently working for an aerospace company in the quality engineering field. And like I mentioned, I am in full-time ministry. My husband is actually a senior pastor. So I'm what they call the first lady, but I just say I'm the pastor's wife. I don't use those terms. So those are my roles.
Okay, well, thank you for that. So it seemed like with this topic, we're kind of like going with Stella getting her groove back and everything. And it's so hard because so many people follow their passion and they put it where they're trying to follow their passion, but sometimes it gets put on the back burner due to kids, 9 to 5, even laziness, overwhelmed. So how do I begin to reconnect to it?
Well, first, you just have to recognize that you lost it. I mean, some of us, we're so busy that we don't even realize that we lost who we are or our groove. We just, we're living day by day and we're in the rat race is what I like to call it. And we're just going. And we think that we're fine. And then all of a sudden you may find yourself as just being unsatisfied or unfulfilled. And you know that it's not because you're praying. So in the church world, we say, well, just make sure you read your Bible and just keep prayer and, strong and keep talking to the Lord. And yes, all of those things were there. But at the same time, there was some spark in me that I knew was missing, where I was not even able to do the roles that I have with as much energy as I usually would give to them, that I know that I have, So then that is what it's just got me to thinking, hey, something is off, and I believe it's because I lost what my passion is, or one of the passions, because I fully believe that as humans, we have more than one passion. I don't believe in putting anybody in a box. You can have 5 or 6 different passions, things that just bring you joy. And any one of those things can bring that spark back into your life. So, yeah, I would just say recognize that you've lost it first. So that's how you begin to realize I need to get my groove back. You think something is going on where I'm not fully my joyful, vibrant self that I know that I can be.
Yeah, and I can say that I've suffered from that too. Just you can lose yourself in your kids, and then you wake up. Just like for me to want to help women now, go live. It was just like, I felt like this was my passion, and I felt like I was stuck in my
Yeah.
9 to 5. Because just like you, I still have a 9 to 5 as well, and I just know that that doesn't feed me. That's not what I was put on this earth to do.
Mm-hmm.
So my next question is, you now know that you're stuck, and how do you get unstuck and move forward to the next step?
The first thing that you need to do and is prayer. You need to pray and figure out, okay, Lord, what is it that I need to do? Please give me something, download something in my spirit, in my heart, or send somebody my way to like just drop a hint, or because, I believe God can speak through a variety of different ways. He can even speak through a YouTube video. You can be scrolling across your YouTube videos and you see something that speaks to you, or, even on Instagram, one of those memes can just speak to you. So I believe it starts with prayer. Lord, give me what I need to, enhance my life, and so that I can be all that I need to be for what you're calling me to do. So yeah, it starts with prayer. And then after you have figured that out, because it could be quite a few things. So he could say to you, or you could feel in your heart, you know what? I really love dancing, or I really love sewing, or I really love speaking, or I really get energy when it comes to helping children. There could be a long list of things. Start with one thing, and figure out a way that you can work that into your life as it currently stands. Because yes, you may have a dream or a passion to be a world-renowned dance competitor, but you really can't do that right this second. It may not be feasible for you to do that right this second. So what you can do is start off small and just start practicing in your bedroom or in your living room, or just doing those things, maybe watching tutorials on those people who have competed and won in what you're striving for. And if it's for a business speaking opportunity, start watching different speakers and take notes on how they are outlining their speeches. So I would say start small. Once you recognize, what it is that will bring some spark back into your life. Start small and just slowly incorporate those things into your life. Just because I'm afraid that if we just try to go full force without doing it for so long, that it may become overwhelming, and we may be biting off more than we can chew. And then there may be people in our lives that may be suffering because we're now head over heels. It's like a completely different person. Like, mom used to help me with my homework, and now she's salsa dancing all the time, so so it could be things like that, where you need to slowly introduce your passion, and then you say, oh, this feels good. Or maybe it's writing, and you could just write something, a little bit of something every single night, and you can say, yeah, this feels good to write something, to journal something, to whatever it is that you can do well. So I would say start small.
And I agree with you. I'm a Christian, and so, but the thing is, faith without works is dead.
Absolutely.
I'm happy that you followed that up with, praying about it, but then you have to take action.
Yes.
You have to figure out, like you said, I think you just can sometimes sit with yourself and like reconnect with yourself. Like, you may not even know things about yourself because you have been, like I said, a mom or working or whatever. Like, what is my favorite color?
Yes.
Like, what do I like to do?
Yes. Yes.
So I just think it's important to kind of like sit with yourself and see, or what was my passions before I became a mom, because they grow up, the kids grow up and are out the house, and you just have to reconnect with yourself and then kind of like figure it out. And then sometimes you don't know. I found like I joined like a mentor group and just talking to them about what I do all the time, they were able to see sometimes you're so close to it, you don't even know until you start talking to somebody. They're like, have you thought about this? Because it seemed like, this aligns with what you're talking about. Right. And then you're like, duh, I do this all the time. Yeah. So I'm glad you say that. And I definitely agree with your approach with what you said.
Yes. I mean, and it's a big thing to sit with yourself. I mean, I was telling someone else that, and I forget who, but I am also a little bit of an introvert. So I know how to turn it on, when it calls for it, where I can be extroverted, but I enjoy sitting with myself. I get energy from sitting with myself, whether it's in prayer or just thinking thoughts. And that is so important. We have to not be afraid to sit alone. Turn off the TV, turn off the phone, and sit with yourself and think to yourself. Have a conversation. It doesn't mean that you're crazy, but talk to yourself and say, girl, what is it that you really love? What do I love? Well, I know I love dancing, or I know I love the color blue, or I know I love clothing. I love speaking to people, so you go through the list and talk to yourself, and you can just get so much energy just even doing that. And so let me just say that it may be hard for the woman who has small children, because I was at that stage as well, where I didn't have a moment for myself to even sit and think, because by the time the kids were in bed, it was 9:30. And when I hit the pillow, my head hit the pillow, it was like just lights out, like I was done. But there's value in finding, even if it's 5 minutes, you have to make your family give you 5 minutes, preferably more. Yeah. But if you are at that stage where you have like newborn babies or toddlers or things like that, where they don't understand, you're going to have to teach them early. Mommy needs 5 minutes. So I'm putting mommy in timeout.
Yeah. And I so agree with you. And when you have that burning passion, even if you're exhausted, like you said, at night, you'll set your clock to get up, maybe at 5 or 6 or whatever, before the household gets up, to have maybe a half an hour to journal, to do whatever you can, because you know that this is what you want to do, that you have a greater calling. So, and the good thing about it, if you have an infant, next year, they'll be sleeping through the night.
Right.
You ain't got to worry about it. So I always encourage people just to try to do what you can, work, be flexible. It's going to be hard because you're going to be tired. But if that's something that you're very passionate about, you would take the steps. But I do agree, like the first thing is just trying to figure things out. That's where a lot of people get stuck. But then once they get going, how do you suggest that they find, the balance to continue to go? I know we talked about a little bit about, getting up early, but do you have any other tips?
Well, I mean, I firmly believe that there's really no such thing as balance, because if your time, there's only 24 hours in a day, period. So it's like, if you're doing something else is not being done. I mean, it just is what it is. So it's like, either you are devoting a full 2 hours or 3 hours of your day to starting your passion or your business, then that means that the dishes aren't going to get done and the laundry isn't going to get folded. So you may need to outsource those things. So it's not a balance where you can still do everything. You may need to outsource or call for help. Or if none of those things are feasible, where you can't afford it or there is no one to help you, then what you need to do in that season is to just continue to write down your vision, continue to make a business plan, continue to do research. There's a lot to be said for research. And I know some people are against doing so much research where you'll never get started. And there's a thing of that where you're thinking too much where you will never get started. But
Yes.
if your living situation, because now I'm thinking of all the moms who are single moms, who just don't have any help and they don't have an extra $5 to spend. So then in that time, we're going to consider that a blessing, so that the Lord is allowing you to prepare during that time, whether it's on your lunch break or, your 30 minutes in the morning or whatever, to make a business plan, to save more money, to, do whatever it is that you need to do to be prepared, so that by the time that child is 1 year old and he or she is in daycare or is able to sleep through the night, then you can start walking. You can start going a little bit, faster in your building of your dream.
Yeah, and I
Yes.
so agree with you. Take the little steps that you can and prepare. But like you
Absolutely.
said, don't get paralyzed and stay there, because like you
Right.
said, so many people, they get stuck and they
Yes.
never take action. So I
Right.
definitely agree.
Yes.
So what are some benefits to you? And you touched on it a little bit about investing in yourself, because so many people are afraid to do that. My whole thing before I ask you is, it's a must, because I just think that you should find somebody, that see that's where you are and consume their content. But I'm gonna throw it over to you.
Well, investing is the biggest form of self-care.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Now, whether that means that you're investing in yourself monetarily, or some people will say, well, I'm investing in my skincare routine to, for physical or my health. So I'm going to buy a little bit more expensive, food where it's organic, or, these herbs, or, whatever it is, it's going to cost something, but it's an investment. And that is the biggest form of self-care. And we all know that if you don't take care of yourself, there is absolutely no way that you're going to be any good for anyone else. So I say that you can start investing in yourself. So let's just say, for instance, let's take my situation. I started a YouTube channel again. I revamped it, as well as my Instagram. However, I decided to invest in myself by buying a camera. And I had to do that in order to get the quality shots, the vision that I had in my head for the types of videos that I wanted to make, and the pictures that I wanted to post. That vision was so strong that I couldn't see myself using anything else other than, it has to be a nice camera. It has to be a professional looking camera in order to get my shots and my video to be everything that I want it to be. And that was my baby step, was just the camera. But I had to invest in myself, because we all know a nice camera is not cheap.
Yeah.
Now, we all can use our cell phones. If you have a cell phone, you can still do that, which I was using a cell phone for a very long time. Some of my first, I would say 10 videos were using my cell phone, but I did the research to find out the best settings for my cell phone to get the best quality video. Okay. And then when I saved up enough money, I was able to purchase that camera. And when I purchased that camera, the amount of self-care that I felt that day, I was like, yes, Tasha, Tasha, you did this. You're investing in yourself. You pour so much into other people. And now you are being your cheerleader. You're being your biggest cheerleader. So those types of things are so important for your well-being, your mental health. It's just a form of self-care. So you have to do it.
Yeah. And mine was just getting a mentor, like I teed up before, which is expensive.
Yes.
Very expensive. But I told myself, you've been at this level. It's time to, move to the next. This is what you have to do. So figure it out. So move some things around, won't be shopping, even I have tons of clothes, this is what I need to do. And so that's what I did. And it has paid off tremendously.
Good.
And you just definitely have to. And if anybody is listening and don't want to invest in yourself, you're never going to reach your next level, because if you don't invest in yourself, who else is going to do it? And I've been doing that since the 9 to 5, when somebody wouldn't pay for my certification, in my field. I'm like, you know what? I was mad for a little while, but I'm like, this certification is going to go with me. Yes. Forget these people. I got this. And I did it myself. So I've kind of always been in that, headspace. But I just want to encourage anybody listening that you definitely have to invest in yourself. If it's anything, like you said, a camera, if it's, people to do your website, if you can't do it, you have to know your strengths and weaknesses, and, be able to free up some time to focus on the things that you are able in control of. So yes, I am a firm believer about investing in yourself.
Yes.
Now, what about setting goals and acknowledging your progress? What do you think? Is that something that you should do?
I do. I think that I believe that we're all different kinds of people, though. So some people do well with setting strict goals, like, so they'll say, by this time next Friday, I'm going to be doing this, or I'm going to have this much, money saved or whatever. Some people are a little bit more, how can you say, lax, where they'll say, well, by this time in the next 6 months, I will have this, or I want to have this, and I'm going to slowly but surely get there and do what I need to do in order to make myself have this, 6-month goal. There are some people that do not like to set rules for themselves, where they're a little bit more lax, where they say, oh, well, I have a vision and I just want to, get there, and I'm going to work towards it, but I don't want to put myself like on a strict schedule or line, because then I'll feel too claustrophobic, or I'll feel, like I'm not being free in my authentic self. Now, I am a little bit of all of those people that I just mentioned, because I love being spontaneous. I love being free. I love being just led by what my soul is telling me, what my spirit is saying. Like, I don't really like a lot of restrictions. However, they are very important. Goals, we cannot deny that by setting goals and writing things down and giving yourself a time schedule, some of those are very important, because then you'll be able to measure how far you've gotten, and you can look back and say, oh, okay, well, if I did this in a week's time, then I know I can now set my next goal where it can be even bigger. And I know that I can accomplish this goal within the next 3 months because I did this in a week.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I know it may sound like I'm all over the place, but I want the listeners to know themselves, know thyself. Okay. And if you know that for all these years, if you're just flying by the seat of your pants and you've never gotten anything done, it may be time for you to switch gears. So don't set, if you feel some kind of way about setting strict goals for yourself, like within the next hour, I'm going to do this. And within the next 10, 2 hours, I'm going to do that. Okay, well, then don't do that. If that is something that's going to give you anxiety, okay, well then let's back up, and instead of flying by the seat of our pants, set a goal for the next month and say, within the next month, I'm going to do this. Okay. If you are the person that has been very strategic, and you are that person that says, within the next hour, I'm going to do this, and within the next 2 days at 3:30, I'm going to do this. And that has not been working for you because you're always missing those goals, and you're beating yourself up because you've missed those goals or those deadlines. That's not helping anybody either. Right? So it's like, you cannot be too strict if you know that that's not going to work for you. You cannot be too lackadaisical is what they call it, if you know that's not working for you. So you have to know yourself, and whatever you've been doing in the past and it's not working, then you need to change, and you need to make it, whether you give yourself a little bit more grace or you make yourself a little bit more strict.
Yeah.
So
And I'm a to-do list type of girl. I like to accomplish something, and I still write in my head. I like to cross it out because it makes me feel good that, okay, even though I had 5 things on my list, I did get 3 things done. Okay, let's carry over these 2 to the next day and get it done. What's my priorities for the day that has to get done? But I agree. Some people, are just procrastinators. And for that, it's just like with anything. Some people, have big dreams, and just to be honest, they may not ever act upon it because of fear or excuses. But some people will take the baby steps and get there, slow and steady.
Mhm.
And those are the people that will eventually, get where they need to go. They will, their goals will be, crossed off, and they'll be like, okay, you know what? I am where I want to be. So I agree with what you're saying. But yeah, unfortunately, it will be people that will not take action.
Yes, but and you know what? So if this conversation is just a little bit, well, I should say what I said is a little bit unusual because I haven't heard that said before when I watch, self-help videos or about how to accomplish your dreams or your passions. When I say there are people that I know that are those fly by the seat of their, where if they got a feeling and they say, I'm going to accomplish this or I'm going to do it, you'll look up next week. They won't set any goals. They're just like, go, 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 go. And they go by that feeling without setting goals for themselves. And they accomplish more than somebody who's been planning for a year.
Yeah.
Like I really know people like that, several people. And I'm always in awe of those people because I'm like, wow, like, how did you do that? And I don't know if what their mind is thinking, but they're very driven. And they are those type of people that are very resourceful. And they don't stop until that thing has come into fruition. Like there's another pastor's wife that I know, she's writing a book and she just mentioned it. Like 1 month, she mentioned she wanted to write a book. When I tell you the very next month, these books were published, or they were printed and bound, and she had a publisher and she had a release party and she had like video footage and a whole photography session. Like there was no way that she set goals and did that for an entire year to accomplish it, but she just did it. So if you're that type of person and it's working for you and there's no problems with it, then maybe that's just how you were made to work. But some of us have to set goals and we have to write things down and do checklists in order to make us feel good. Yeah. So I say know yourself and your strengths, and whatever is right for you, do it.
Exactly. It all types to make up this world. So like you said, whatever works for you, that's what you need to do to get you where you need to be.
Yes.
Now, how do you stay relevant and remain true to yourself?
So this is a very interesting question because relevant is subjective. Like, someone could say that I'm very relevant, but then I know for a fact that there are 20-something-year-olds that say that I'm, old school. I mean, even if it's just by the way you curl your hair. So, some of the younger girls, they curl their hair going backwards or away from the face. Well, I was raised in a day where we curl it forward, you know what I mean? And so just by looks, they, some people may say that I am very relevant and blah, blah, blah. But then, you have other people that say, no, that's auntie. That's what they call you when they refer to you as being like an older. They say, okay, well, that's auntie. So, it is all according to what you feel is most relevant. Now, I know that question is asked out of, society. So what we see in the world as far as what's in the magazines and what's on TV and the style of dress that most people are, having on now and the trends that are going on. And that is the term that's mostly used, for relevancy, that you're the sign of the times, you're doing with what everybody else is doing. However, I say that you still stay true to yourself and you will be relevant. Because if you try to copy somebody else, you're not being true to yourself at all, and you'll seem awkward. You won't flourish in who you are as a person. And a relevancy comes when you can speak about the world events and you can speak about what's going on currently in this life that we're living now, but you're still your true self. So regardless of what you have on. Now, I'm not talking about, well, this is coming back now, but I was going to say, the bell bottoms, we can spot someone who's wearing like 60 or 70s or 50s clothing in a minute, or 80s, that's coming back, but that's relevant now. So it's kind of hard to say that, someone who's wearing 70s gear from head to toe is not relevant, because that's the trend. That's what's going on now. Okay. So I would say you still need to study, and you still need to, be aware of the business trends that are going on. So if we're, speaking of business, you still need to be up on your technology and look at the business trends that are going on and the business plans and all of those things that are happening. And then you have to adapt. So there's no way that you can be successful if you have a business and not be on social media at all. There's no way. You have to, even if you just have a restaurant, you have to have some way for people to connect to you via social media. And that in itself is being relevant, although your restaurant may be old world style African cuisine. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So your business may be an old school or an old model, but you're using some current practice in what we're doing in today's society.
Yeah.
So
and I
hope I answered your question properly.
No, you did. And I also would just add listening to your clients and your customers.
Oh, yes.
Those are the people that you're trying to serve. So,
absolutely.
And relevant, you want to make sure that you are serving them to the best of their ability so they can tell a friend and you could grow. So that's the only thing I would add to that.
Yes, absolutely.
So what's next for you?
Well, what's next for me is just to continue to grow my social media following and to get more business deals, brand endorsements, or, brand partnerships with either clothing stores or anything in the creative arts field. And I know that that may sound a little strange coming from an engineer, because we are typically stereotyped to being just boring and straight up and down and no color. And we don't use our what do you call it? Our mojo or our groove back. We don't say things like that because we're all calculated, right? But yeah, no, that's my desire is to do more in creativity. And I'm also a seamstress. So whether or not that comes through designing clothes or styling someone, or even doing videos for brands and almost like mini commercials for certain brands that I'm passionate about, anything like that is something that I would like to get more into. I would like to start other streams of income where I can use my creativity as to help other companies, but mostly to help people. Like, I want that woman to feel good about herself. The woman that I was 2 years ago was someone who had lost her groove, lost her mojo, as they said. And I was just doing everything that I thought that I was supposed to do, where like I was going into the corporate office all the time wearing just slacks, a shell, and a cardigan. Slacks, a shell, and a blazer. Slacks, a shell, and a sweater. And it was so boring to me, but that was because I was in the corporate office and I was like, these people, they're not looking at me, and this is just 9 to 5, and everybody else is boring, so I guess I have to fit in. And then let's talk about ministry. So going to church, of course, you want to be modest, you can't show everything, but then you also don't want to be too out there. So I never wanted to mix and match my patterns and my colors and my different things like that, because I felt that it wouldn't represent being a pastor's wife well.
Says who? Says who? I got a girl.
Well, I don't know. I mean, my husband is very conservative, and he's not conservative where he's boring, but I kind of wanted to match him, where I just didn't want to be just too out there, and I didn't want the older ladies of the church to look at me like, what is this, what has she got on, and all this stuff. So I kind of really lost who I am. I lost my excitement. And then being a mom, you kind of want to, you throw on sweats all the time to like take them places and go here and go there. Oh, I got to go grocery shopping again. Okay, well, let me just throw this on. And I got to, do all these things. And I really lost my passion for fashion, for style, for putting together. I call it, like I'm a canvas. And so anytime I style myself or someone else, it's like painting that canvas. So it's like it's an artwork. It's a form of artistic expression. So this is my creative outlet for myself. And I lost that. And I felt something was weird, where it's like, I don't feel creative anymore. I don't feel that I'm being artistic anymore. And I figured out what it was. It's like, I am not taking the time to even just put on a little bit of makeup and paint my body the way I want to represent myself. So I completely lost myself. And then I snapped out of it through prayer and through actually taking little steps. So we were in the pandemic last year, and I didn't wear makeup for a full 8 months. And I didn't get dressed for real for a full 10 months. Okay.
You're not alone.
And I mean, and it was and I was wondering why I was feeling so down and not depressed, because I don't want to make light of the people who are severely depressed or, going through some deep depression. But there was a little bit of depression going on because I just looked like I was thrown away. So I felt like I was thrown away. And it was just like, okay, what do I need to do to make that spark? So one day I just came upstairs. I just had to get away from the kids. And I was like, I need a break. So I took just 15 minutes to come upstairs, and I just put on just a light wash of makeup. And as I was putting on makeup, it may sound so superficial, but just a little light wash of makeup was me taking care of myself. I took my time to put my eyeliner on. I took my time to fill in my brows and blend in whatever blush and, just those things. And I felt so much better. I just walked downstairs and was like, whoo, I just felt like a new woman. And so I encourage those women who are either in their 40s and over, where if you haven't taken that time to make yourself feel good, to even tap into getting dressed and making yourself a form of artwork, I urge you to do that and see how much better you'll feel. See how your spirit will soar, and your creativity or whatever you have going on in your mind that you want to do, if it's speaking, if it's mentoring, if it's whatever, those things will just start firing off if you just take care of yourself just a little bit. And it's never too late. You're never too old. Don't let anyone tell you you are too old to start something new, because if anything, you're wiser than you were. Okay. So start something new today, and then you will be able to take that so much farther, maybe than even you were able to take when you were in your 20s.
Yeah, that is so true. And that's why we dedicate every fourth Thursday to self-care, because I don't care how many people you're taking care of. We of course, this channel is all about helping women over 40 go live
Mhm.
and, starting their business and all that stuff. But you can't be good to anybody unless you take care of yourself.
Right.
And so that's why I was just like, you know what? I don't care what it is. If it's just going to get your hair done for somebody else doing it, you don't have to do it. Like you said, for you was putting on your makeup.
Mhm.
Anything you can do to, take care of yourself, you definitely need to do it. So I'm a huge advocate of self-care, because if you don't do it, nobody else is going to make it a priority for yourself. So how can people stay in contact with you?
Well, on Instagram, I am Chloe_Debray_. And on YouTube, I'm Chloe Debray. So you can find me on YouTube, you can find me on Instagram and on Facebook as well. But I'm limiting that. It's not where it's like a free for all. It's just if you friend request me and and I see that it's appropriate, then I will accept you as a friend. So
Uh,
yes.
Well, this has been a great conversation. We hope that we have helped at least one woman get her groove back, and
Yes.
you have taken just one nugget from this conversation. So, if you are not following us, we ask that you subscribe to our channel and definitely follow us. Comment your biggest takeaway, because I love to engage with you here, and I would like to read what your biggest takeaway from this episode is. And if it was one person that that could benefit from this conversation, please, please, please share the link with them. Follow us on Facebook at Rosie Faulkner and IG at Faulkner_Rosie. And if you are ready to go live, definitely sign up to get my 3 must-have tools. The link is in the description. And that is all that we have for you for this week of the bandwidth. We will see you next week. Good night.